Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you might be in the world. I'm here. I'm not entirely sure I want to hang out with these two dudes anymore because both of them are rattling cages, shaking sticks, and whatever else you might say at different forms of authority. And Johnny says, 1 more week until my birthday. I'll be for 51 years. Oh, okay, Johnny. Well, happy birthday in 1 more week. And don't forget, if you see Philip, click on him. And he might send
six
you...
weeks to Christmas, 5 weeks to the longest day in the Southern Hemisphere.
Oh, is it only 5 weeks the longest day? Oh,
where's the year gone?
You wouldn't know it here. It's been
it's been cold here
today.
too.
Yeah. It's going to be 35 again tomorrow, but it's been about 10 here today. And winds like nobody's business.
We've had lots of wind.
I spent my Sunday morning, I should have queued up a bit of video, replacing one bit of roof on one building of mine, and then pulling one great big bit of tin roof out of a tree. And I was very lucky that the tree caught it. But it's just like model aircraft, isn't it? It jumped out and it grabbed it because just behind it was a set of power wires. So that would have been fantastic. And it was at that height if it had gone through that. So windy, we've had a load of trees removed today, but it's rained just about all day today. So, yeah, summer can arrive now. Now, in Dubai, I mentioned it in the notes, everything is unmanned, AAM, UAM. It's all they're talking about over there. So many promises all over the world, and it really does feel to me like it's like this is the tip of the spear. Some other phrase, and some other phrase. That this is peak AAM bullshit. I think, although a British firm is preparing to fly at Farnborough Airshow next year. Live during the show, so we shall see.
Jobby landed in Manhattan.
Yes, that was quite a thing, wasn't it?
There was
two of them, wasn't there?
Volocopter, yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, of course,
but they landed at a heliport, not a vertiport. What's going on there?
There's been a lot of people getting out of money then, isn't there?
Well, ANRA's bought out its vertiport management suite and unmanned traffic. And
don't you call me sweet? We're not that close.
Yeah. And NATS have also gone into a joint venture for UTM in the UK and AAM, UAM, low-level airspace stuff. It's just how many versions of all this will there be, and which one will we support? Because surely, as the probably largest affected group, we should get behind one or two and stay behind one or two. I don't know. I've ranted a bit. Please rant on. One of you rant on now.
Which one would you like to lose your shirt to?
Hadn't thought about that. You're exactly right. Oh, there we go. All right, let's share this. Oh no, not that window. Present. I've taken to having a little bit of a nap before we do this, and it might not be the best thing to do. I've just woken up.
I just thought it might be interesting if you could do that with the audio, because the trouble is when they're doing the PR videos, they've always got music over it. I just thought it'd be interesting to see what they sound like.
Look at the pitch change. Look how much pitch they have to use to go forward.
Can you hear now?
So you see how easy it is to maneuver really those aircrafts, and with that we will now
I'll go back.
Pilot will now, I think, perform a short stop here and bow to the authorities here. And
it was much better when the Harrier did it.
Those aircrafts are very easy to maneuver, and now Paul will say thank you to the audience. Maybe give him a wink.
A wink.
So
I don't see the Inspire 3 in the background on this one.
Thank you for this demonstration. So you see how easy it is to maneuver really those aircrafts. And with that, we will now.
Of course, these are the first people to
flight test
fly one
here,
of these things,
which was amazing. And thanks for the great collaboration with all our colleagues here. Thank you.
Did it jump?
Thank you very much.
Did it jump from one pad to the next? Oh, there's the Inspire.
There's the Inspire. Yeah. How can they fly a drone that close? Surely someone must have died. They look to me like they'd be really affected by wind, though. You know, so they waffle around a bit like this, not like a helicopter. A helicopter seems quite grounded.
Great.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a pretty thing, and I wish them well, but I still don't. I'm not a believer, I'm afraid. Their cargo one, yes. Try again on a cold, wet, and windy January. Yeah, waiting for the flip of death. Absolutely. And then what's that mode? Is it turtle mode where it flips itself back up again? Yeah, there we are. Flip it back up again. Yeah. First time I've heard Vertiport. Cool, Cat. Where have you been? I live at Vertiport, Africa. I've been steadily demolishing trees to make access better and I've been at the cutting edge of this sort of thing for years and still not one's turned up.
Is that your chainsaw, the cutting edge?
The cutting edge, exactly. Yeah. Oh, God, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Vertiport it's another word for helipad. It's a ridiculous idea in many ways, and the specifications are coming out from authorities all over the place, and they're a lot bigger than these people need them to be. Well, they're the correct size for a helipad, and there's not many places in the world where you can put them really. What's Scott saying? Because feel like an imposter. Because think about the volocopter is on a small percentage. Yeah, it's look. I quite like that one, and their cargo one's going to do well. Of that, I'm sure. But whether the business case for flying people about will ever make a difference, I don't know.
With the cargo
Coventry, yes.
You've still got the issue of operating costs with batteries as they are and the range limited as it is. Even if you haven't got people in it, it'd still be more economic to use a motor in a helicopter and have that autonomous. You know, I don't see the point.
The one thing that's interesting, well, there's a couple of things. There's one, I was trying to really ascertain, you know, how noisy it versus a normal helicopter. I think it's definitely less. I mean, when you put that video on them, we could only hear the speaker. We couldn't, you know, that was talking over it. We couldn't really hear the rotors, so that was kind of interesting. But if you watch it on, you know, the original on Twitter, you can hear it in the background. But it seems like at least that side of it is a bonus over a helicopter. The interesting bit though was the other one, the Joby, and funnily enough, eHang put a video out in the last week.
Of course they have.
With the one again where it's made to look like it's a fixed wing. But neither Joby nor the eHang have put videos out when they do the transition, because that's what I wanted to see. And I noticed some investors were saying, and I thought actually they're the savvy ones, because that's the tricky bit of going from without having
Would all passengers move to the rear of the craft?
I've told you my pull up a sandbag story, but pull up a sandbag. I'll do it very, very quickly. Airship, hot air airship. Lost what happened? Lost the motor. Had to try and restart it. But anyway, I ended up flying like that, looking at the ground, and we were in level flight, but it got itself into a position where it was like that, and it was very, very frightening. Even though you know you're flying right, but all you if you looked up, you just see the envelope. All you could see is the ground. It's like But anyway, let's pull up a sandbag. Hot air airships, they're nightmares. Great for urban air mobility. And I see one of them is claiming 700-kilometer range, one of the Joby-like ones, or Joby. Who in the real world's not going to call it Joby? Everyone's going to call it Joby, aren't they?
It's number two. We'll call it number two.
It's number two. It's number two to market. Exactly. Who's not going to call it that? It's ridiculous. It's like Lance in America's Lank, you know,
with a little asterisk beside the 700 mile range where it says subject to a new generation of batteries.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
Because Whisper have got that now. Whisper basically, not Whisper. Who's the other crowd that was doing it? They had a while back, and they got all those fans along the wing. They basically acknowledged that yes, we'll need a new battery technology before this becomes viable.
Now, in just how many ways am I going to start? Let's just quickly go through Ian's misdemeanors, and here's one of them. Well, it's not a misdemeanor; it's a comedy and amusing thing, I suppose one should say. But you found AI art, Ian.
I have, and I'm loving it. I'm getting some wonderful wacky images. I wanted to get across because I'd like to credit who originally said it because it was a very good one. I think it was probably Kevin, but I couldn't find his tweet. But the FAA is selling remote ID as being a digital license plate, but it's not. And what I heard was actually what it is. It's an ankle monitor, and that's exactly what it is because it's put in the pilot's location. We know the code was written such that the pilot's location has to be more precise than even the drone. So I wanted to get across that actually it's an ankle monitor, and it's essentially it's making all drone pilots guilty by default. So yeah, unfortunately, the FAA are going to see lots and lots of nice new AI images getting this message across. And the funny thing, though, when we're doing this is I remember on a previous show when I was saying, we should be, putting our views back to the FAA and finding staff there, tagging them. And there was, a few voices saying that won't make a difference. Well, I can tell you now, I've got an FAA account following me now, so there you go. It can make a bit of difference. They might not be after I'm pointing it out, but
how come they're following you and they're not following me? I'm so disappointed.
Well, you've got other fish to fry. I mean, how many members of the council are following you now, Bruce?
None. No, I haven't had any replies to my emails saying, let's just sit in a room for 30 minutes and sort this out. No. They're hunkering down. They're going to wait it out and just ignore everything until it all blows over. But sadly for them, it's not going to blow over like so many of the other issues they deal with. When anything gets too hard, they just close all the doors, lift the drawbridge and just sit there and wait until people walk away. But I'm not walking away. And I think they'll find out. I'll be doing a video shortly. I'll be inviting my viewers to, if I can't get a response from council, why don't they ask them what's going on? And if they can find out, tell me. So maybe one or two of my viewers will email the councillors and say, can you please lighten some of the situation with Mr. Simpson? And who knows what they'll do then.
Look out. He's here now. You better stop talking about him.
Oh, trouble's coming.
Oh, look at that. Look at that flicker. That's a good one, isn't it? Look at that.
What's that? Let's put Ian's up top. There we are. We'll put Ian's on top today. That's what we'll do.
Hello,
mate. How you doing? How's life? Good. You can tell me about Is it OpenIPC? It's OpenIPC.
OpenIPC is what it's called.
About that in a minute. Yeah, I'm half convinced. The double Ian show, exactly. It's stereo. That's stereo Ian's, that is. We'll get him to sing in a minute. Christmas carols or something.
I'm surprised Bruce has managed to make it here, not be kidnapped by his local council or have been.
Well, it's the same with the other Ian. It's hard to know. I mean, it's only you and me. In fact, that's another way of looking at this. You and I on this side of the screen, it's like more Laura Biden than the other side of the screen. Well, not Laura, but that's just less rabble rousing. And speaking of rabble rousing, do you want to talk about the 5.0 thing, Ian?
Yeah, before we do that, though, we better do it properly. I better just turn my lights on. Right. I want to do we're going to do it like a bit of a story, haven't we?
Have we got to sit down and all that sort of thing? And relax? Hang on.
Well, before we play it, we might as well put some context to it. So the story starts a long time in a galaxy far away. No, actually, that's a different story.
It's better than the one there were spaceships on. Anyway.
Yeah, so we've got a continuing situation because we mentioned it before where frustration with drone pilots that are in the basically your press photographers that have to fly a drone. They're sent out to get crime scenes, what's going on, blah, blah, blah. It is their job. It's a normal part of the job. It happens every day. It's happened every day for decades. And it's only now that, they're using drones that they're getting more and more pushback and it's happening more frequently. So I guess in part because it's been mentioned on here, I was given a nudge this week to two incidents with the Met this time. But the nice thing is we've got a little bit of video. So the only unfortunate thing, it's not video all along, but then again, so I want to put the context to it first. Here we have a professional pilot long term. He knows what he's doing. Before he even put these up, I had a chat to him. I spoke to him for at least 40 minutes. So we've got a guy with a background where he's probably been flying longer, than a lot of us, longer than a lot of the police pilots and so on. So he's got GVC, he's got A2 CFC. He's got everything from sub 250 right through to heavy lift copters. So this is a guy that knows what he's doing. This is a guy that communicates with like ATC of that. So he knows that, if he's, within range of an airport, to give them a call, bloody blah, get the permission. So, basically goes out there, does it by the book. Because, when you're doing it as a press, because I know people now that have been through, whether they've had the Bina Cares, they've gone the PIVCO, come up to doing GVC. I thought, sorry, I'll just go and get A2 CSC and I'll just go to sub 250. As much as anything, because it just to try and stop them getting grief. Because the problem I've got is every time I put something up that's to do with a press drone photographer, there's this bit of snobbery starts as well with other people going, oh, ambulance chaser, blah, blah, blah. Oh, well, I don't do that. I wouldn't be doing that. And it's like, give it a break. This is someone else. This is their use case. It might not be your use case, but don't think because it's not your use case that you know what they're doing, the way they act, and so on. And you're kind of superior because that isn't what you do with your drone. At the end of the day, they're entitled to have that as their living, to put the food on their table, to pay their mortgage, to pay their kids' education, etc., etc., etc. And I don't know why I have to put it as that, but it's, if I don't, it's this straight away of, they must be doing something wrong. No, they're not always doing something wrong. There's a lot of people that are doing everything right, and this is what's happened here. In fact, this has come about. The pilot involved with the GVC, which I'll say again, has sought permission already, because where he is about to fly in one of these was in, the FRZ of an airport, whatever. So he was within enough distance to have permission. So he's got his permission. They're fine with him flying. He just wants to go up, get his features, go down, take them back, on with his day to the next job, and so on. And he could have probably just done that from a distance and not even said out to the police. But instead he thought, I'll go up and I'll have a chat and explain what I'm going to do, which is the correct thing to do. And that's actually brought him about the grief, because then he's got a copper that said, no, you're not doing it. And if you come anywhere near the cordon, I'm going to arrest you. And then he knows that arrest, it's not just him then arrested, it's his kit, it's put away, they'll try and seize it. He can't do a jobs for days then. And so it's all that threat around it as well, because we're saying we're going to take away your livelihood for that period of time. Your only way out of it is then is to fight these things in court. So I want to get, the backstory of it to this, that this is somebody that's responsible. So if this keeps on happening, it'll happen to other people. It doesn't happen to, helicopter pilots. If this was Sky News above a helicopter, you wouldn't say boo to a goose. And to be fair, even a drone pilot with the BBC, you got BBC, blah, 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 you're probably not going to get hassled on this. That's why this is even worse, because a lot of these are smaller freelance journalists. They're still there. The stuff's still going out in the national, so it still might end up on the BBC. It'll be in, maybe your Telegraph and Daily Mail or wherever else. So it's going to go into nationals. But, if he doesn't get that, he's potentially not getting paid. At least with someone on the BBC as well, they're on a salary. If they get pushed back, it might not be an issue. But for some of these pilots, it will be. So when the police are difficult with them, it's more of an issue. And I don't get why there's this, a bit of a two-tier between which news organisation you're with, but also that fact that we've got one rule for helicopters and one rule for drones, and we shouldn't have that. And this is why the CAA are letting the industry down again, because they get the money off the drone industry, but they don't give them the protection. Yeah. So, I can probably back more on afterwards, but play it for now.
All right, do I edit? All right, I'll put it on.
Do it for me.
So if you lift your drone anywhere near the scene, you will be arrested.
So watch the scene.
Okay.
So if you step back, please.
I've told you so many times. We haven't got time to deal with this.
Yeah, cool.
We may look you for obstruction, police, all right? Because you'll be obstructing the crime scene involving the crime scene. Yeah, it's 2027. I've done that.
Yeah. No, I haven't, because I'm recording it now.
So you start recording, but I've done that prior to that.
Okay, so but I want a copy of it. So you're going to tell me what? Sorry.
If you do start obstructing the crime scene, walking up to it, flying the drone over it, then you may be arrested for obstruction of police, all right?
Okay.
Involved in the crime scene. Thank you. Just stay out here. You don't need to fly the drone over, all right?
I am flying the drone. Okay.
You are flying the drone.
I am, yeah.
All right, okay.
All right, thank you.
And he noticed with that as well, when he said, what's your badge number? he's blurted that out so fast you don't even know what his badge number is. You know, I've watched that several times. And I still don't know what his badge number is.
Let's have it again then.
That now. So go on, do it for me.
The second one where it's,
so if you lift your drone anywhere near the scene, you will be arrested.
So watch the scene.
Okay. I've told you so many times. We haven't got time to deal with this.
Yeah, cool. We may look you for obstruction, police. All right, because you'll be obstructing the
so
crime scene involving the
crime
crime scene. Yeah, it's 202Z. I've done that.
Yeah. No, I haven't because I'm recording it now.
Yeah, so you start recording, but I've done that prior to that.
Okay. But I want to record it. So you're going to tell me what? Sorry.
But it was out quick, wasn't it?
He said he was going to fly the drone. Did he fly the drone?
I don't know if he. I don't think he did. Otherwise,
I know the policeman said you may be arrested. Didn't say you will be. Said you may be. So it was more like a bullying thing than an actual commitment to arrest him. If it was me, I'd have a little Mavic Mini 2 or something, and I'd fly that. And if they arrested, well, once I was flying it, they couldn't actually stop me because they'd be interfering with the pilot of an aircraft. They would risk prosecution by civil aviation. And then when it finally landed, if they seized it, I don't care. That would be a major thing. You wouldn't use that for serious stuff, but it would make the point. But then again, I'm never one to rebel against authority.
No, absolutely. No.
Anything for the quiet life, that's me.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, here, because it's your livelihood and that, I think genuinely you're not going to do it once you've asked and they've said no, but you're not going to be happy about it. And the problem we've got here is, I know, like Mark Wingard, he says, we'll just put it up and put a zoom lens on. But the trouble is, even with the zoom, that doesn't necessarily get you the shot, because it might be that you've got a big wall around it, trees, whatever else. So where you are, you can't get it. And there's let me get you the wording for what the College of Policing say, because that's an important point with all of this. Because as I say, I've had people querying, so you haven't to justify it. So for starters, I've already had a police officer that's chipped in on this, a retired one. It clearly doesn't even know the laws himself either, saying, oh, well, you know, you shouldn't be flying over a crime scene. Well, there's no law that says you can't fly over a crime scene. It's like, and again, getting this confused, conflating between emergency services and emergency response are two different things. The emergency response we've talked about before, which is basically, it's where they're dealing with it's a crime in progress, threat to life. You're doing CPR, you're dealing with a live firearm incident. It's that kind of thing. It's not the routine operations afterwards. But what they say first is, and then this itself, it's a straw man argument. It's false, wholly, completely false. The police know it's false. People that say this straight away know it's false. This is what really irks me with it, is they say, oh yeah, but it's filming bodies, dead bodies, they're going to be on TV. And it's like, no, you watch the TV. Are you watching the BBC every night with dead bodies and blood everywhere? No, you're not, because the press have standards. You know, they've got Ofcom, they've got IPSO. They don't let you put that in the first place, and the press aren't going to put it on there. So no, you're not getting any of that. But that's always the de facto straight away argument. And it's like, no, you're not even using that, because we know that it's a falsehood straight off. And I don't know why that has to go for the explanation. But to go for the College of the Police, and this is their exact words, it is for the media to determine what is published or broadcast, not the police. And it says, furthermore, once an image has been recorded, the police have no power to seize equipment or delete or confiscate images or footage without a court order, which they're doing anyway. And it even goes on further here as well. And it's saying, really, the best possible vantage point for media should be considered, providing it does not compromise operational needs. So it's even kind of, so it's saying there really is, and in fact, I'll go back a sentence as well. In fact, I'll go back two, just to see that this is how reasonable this is. The instructions to the police: reporting or filming from the scene of an incident is part of the media's role, and they should not be prevented from doing so from a public place. Police have no power, and this is the important bit, or moral responsibility to stop filming or photographing of incidents or police personnel. So it's making it quite clear there that it's saying you don't have this moral judgment. It's not for you to decide. And it's saying, and it even goes on there as well, have some consideration from the viewpoint for it of saying, you know, it's saying facilitate it, don't be a problem. And yet what we're seeing is the exact opposite. So that's why I'm, you know,
wound up.
running back, because it's grossly unfair. And the police say, and they've got fairness to this. You look on social media, the police get a bad rap all the time. They can't win. Each side criticises them. But the police say understand our role. But by that same token, when the police are saying understand our role, the police should also understand other people's roles, should understand journalists' roles, understand that they're just doing a job, standard part of a job that's part of a democracy. And they're allowed to do it too. And in the moment you've decided that we're going to stop it and we're going to use drone laws to stop it, it's like, for us, it's a drone community. We've got every right to moan about it, because you're not getting that if you turn up there and you're on a ladder, you turn up there and you've got something on the pole. But it's like, why should there be stupid workarounds to even be discussed when this can be done? And it can, the time it takes stood there arguing, less time would have been involved to just put a drone straight up, take the photo, come down, job done. Everybody gets on with it. So you're actually taking more time up arguing with people than just letting them get on with it. So there, anyway.
It's true. It's true.
Now,
there was a go on,
DJ mate. Audits got arrested for filming a crime scene way back. It was what's the date on the video? It was a year ago. There was a road cordoned off by police. He arrived and they said he couldn't do what he was doing and they wouldn't give his details, and they arrested him. Might be worth, I'll post the link in the private chat so that if anyone wants to look, or Gary can publicize it if he likes. But it's an interesting, auditors to the rescue. That it's worth having a look, actually. It was interesting to see how the police responded to that. But that was a while ago.
But I suspect, I suspect with him, and I'm not meaning to deliberately defend the police or whatever, but I suspect with him he was doing a lot of other annoying stuff as well.
Oh, no. The auditors, they are paragons of they never try to provoke any conflict, just like me.
And it's but it's the whole drone alarm sort of thing. There's a channel called The Flying Reporter, and I don't know if you saw him talking about the tech ever that had a lost link in the English channel, and how, thank goodness they're all in that controlled airspace or that danger area, and that's keeping us safe, etc., etc. And another one crashed, and I just happened to comment in it. It was I thought it was a super bad thing on RPAS, really, because the RPAS did what it was supposed to do. Lost its link, started coming home. The link recovered. It started flying its routine again. It's what it was supposed to do then. And so I just passed a comment in his comments that since the first and second tech ever incident, how many general aviation pilots have died and passengers. And he hasn't responded to that. There's uphill from all members of communities still, or other communities, I suppose. It's I don't think the problem will ever go away. I think there'll always be a policeman somewhere that'll want someone to stop doing something. I don't think. But again, they might have had a stressful time and just go away. It's easier to tell people to go away. It doesn't make it right, but
yeah, I mean, Scott Aero's made a comment there, and saying basically don't ask for permission, just get up there and do your job. Which I think that's what some operators are doing, but it'd be nice just that it wasn't necessary. And I do sympathise with police that have dealt with auditors. They made it a bit worse, but you can't treat all the press like the auditors. If they're not there to wind you up, it's like just let them get on with it. But I think clearly there's going to be a bit of time. But the annoyance here and the frustration, and when I put on Twitter, I tag CAA, and I want to point a finger at the CAA because they're completely Teflon, and it's not acceptable. They're taking everybody's money, and then you say, "Will you make a decision?" If you're going to say, define what's close, define what's reasonable, consider the police's viewpoint, consider the press's viewpoint. And just say, because they could say, well, this isn't tested in court. By all means, put some mitigation around it, but say, we consider as a regulator, as presumably you have somebody there that knows how to fly a drone and knows what about, make a decision. Say, we think you should be this distance. Or even put a time to it. Say, be fine about 10 minutes, don't make it anymore because, they've got a job to do. But, put something around it to say to people, and then everyone's got a bit more to go against, so people can say, look, please, the CAA have said this, I'll keep to this. And then hopefully, if they've had a bit of a chat with the police, had a bit of a chat to press pilots, and they both said, yeah, no, that's fair enough, then no one's got anything to be upset about. But while you have it where it's slightly wishy-washy, and people can misuse it to whichever side you want to be, it doesn't help anybody. And the CAA being Teflon about everything and refusing to put the meat onto words that they themselves will happily publish, just makes it, they're making these problems come about by the fact they won't try and be specific. And
they do seem to look the other way in any issue where a decision is needed. They do seem to, nothing to do with us, but we'll still keep taking the cash. I see Louis in the comments, so we better start talking about Gatwick quick. That'll get rid of him. That'll get rid of him. Hello, Louis. I hope you're all right over there. Now, other Ian. Tell me the truth about OpenIPC, because it's going to cost me a couple of burgers to have a DJI like FPV system. If I can cut through all the, it shows actually it really shows the most important thing about any open source project is the documentation.
There's a lot of hype around it at the moment, and I'm looking at the wrong camera. The easiest thing to say, first of all, is this is not a product. This is not even, I wouldn't even necessarily call this alpha stage. This is an open source project that is designed to replace software that comes on certain CCTV cameras. Okay, so the very basics are there's a bunch of chipsets out there which they found are running Linux, and people have been able to reverse engineer and create an open source piece of software for that. So that's the first stage. So you take off the software that the manufacturers are installing, and then they're putting on an open source piece of software. That then is leading into a potential for an FPV system, because what they're then doing is running also on board that SoC that's on the camera, a software stack that communicates over Wi-Fi. So the easiest thing to think about, this isn't a replacement for DJI. This isn't a replacement for Avatar or HD0. This is a form of wireless CCTV that's being modified for FPV use. Now, it's not fair to call it wireless CCTV, but it's also not what the other manufacturers have either. It's very, very different. Today, I'm just trying to flash the cameras. My cameras arrived today. I flashed the NVR the other day. And the idea is you're taking really cheap commodity off-the-shelf hardware. So like this DVR board for a CCTV system, it's like £14 to buy on AliExpress. The reason is because they're selling hundreds of thousands of these to the CCTV industry across the world. It's the same with the cameras. $20 for a camera. It's an IP camera. It's got a custom software on it, but the chipset runs Linux, and as such, they've been able to rewrite it and do what they do. What there has been over the last few weeks is a huge amount of hype, because there's a couple of members who are posting lots of stuff online going, hey, you can get an FPV system for $50. And whilst that in itself isn't wrong, it's also not the truth. And I have had a bit of an argument with the dev team on this, to say the least. I'm not their most popular person, to say the least, because I called it BS. The product is real. The marketing is not. It will tune into something. Now, whether that something will ever be enough for most people in FPV remains to be seen. And what you've also got to take into account is this element, the hassle factor. So if you sit here for 2, 3, 4, 5 hours messing with it and get it working great, if you in the process accidentally burn out the ROM, you've got to unsolder one and resolder it. So this really isn't for the faint-hearted. There are a bunch of people out there who want to believe in an open source digital FPV system. I still fundamentally don't think it will ever really happen fully in the sense of like DJI, like Avatar HD, simply because there is a reason they're all running very high power proprietary chipsets. If they didn't have to, they wouldn't. Do you get my point on that? There is a very good reason why they're doing it. That doesn't mean there isn't space for something for fixed wing users, something for plane users who will accept 50, 60, 70 milliseconds of latency, who will be more than happy messing around. Now, there is talk of, will we see the same thing happen to this as we saw with Express LRS? Because Express LRS was based on the ESP32. And whilst initially it was based off the boards like you and me have got, Gary, then manufacturers went out and made loads of receivers just based on the chipsets. Could we see that happen here? Absolutely. We could see this become a huge amount more polished, much better in 12 months, 2-3 years time. But that's not today. So what people have to be very careful of is, right now, I would label this a science project. That's probably the right term to use. Whether that science project will turn into an actual thing remains to be seen. And that's really the state of it. It's
like OpenHD in that regard, but it's a lot simpler because you've got less hardware and
you're taking the pie out the middle, Bruce, is basically what they've done. Yeah, and these little chipsets on here are fairly powerful for what they are. They're designed specifically to do some of the encoding for the IP cameras, so that's why they're actually quite good at it. They're doing it in hardware, but there's a lot of if, buts, and maybes here. And the bit I find a bit unsavory about the whole thing is posts online saying digital FPV system for $50. Technically everything is removable. It just comes down to how hard you want to hit it with a hammer. Is the two, isn't it? Everything is capable of being unscrewed if you've got a big enough spanner or a big enough hammer, and it's that argument. But it's definitely interesting. But I think the project is making a lot of noise. It's flying before it's even got wings. Yeah.
Damn doomsayers, eh? What do you do? I think the problem also would be the Wi-Fi link. Wi-Fi is not optimized for latency.
No. And they are running their own stack on the adapters, but even so, there is only so far you can go. Do you know what I mean? And look, and I've been called negative, down on the system. I'm a realist. I am a very much a realist, and I think it's got potential.
Well, you're just a DJI shill.
I am.
I was going to say, it's not DJI shilling, is it?
No,
it's someone else, isn't it?
It's Cadix now, apparently. But look, I think it's interesting. But part of the reason this is so cheap is you are leveraging economies of scale of CCTV equipment. The second you move away from that and someone wants to make their own hardware, it's like this board here. This is $14. There's a lot of silicon on that board for $14. There's a lot of components on there for $14. And that's volume. But if you then took this, and you don't need the network port, you don't need the USBs, you could cut the VJ off, and you could try and make that cheaper. But if you're only then making 1,000 of them, then the cost goes through the roof exponentially anyway. I remember when I was ordering my rulers that I was giving away, and on PCB manufacturing alone, the discounts between like 1,000 and 10,000 is insane. You start at like £8 a board if you want 10 of them, and then if you want 50 of them, it goes down to like £4 a board, and if you take 10,000, it's down to like 37p. and that's the
so problem. If you get enough of them made, they're free.
It almost is that case for PCBs, Bruce. It's you've seen it yourself. It's all about volume. I think there's potential. I also think if you take into account the cost of digital FPV today is probably lower than it's ever been. And look, I'll shill for Cadix a second. Their VRX module is available with a transmitter for $260. All in. So that barrier to entry is quite low in my opinion.
I think you've got to be careful. Looking at the comments, our audience, the expert audience here, seems to be quite behind it. So that bloody Ian bloke, and it was nice. And I thought, just to rewind a little bit, I thought it was nice of you to wave at the warder there, Bruce, as they as they're making sure you're all right there. So that's excellent. That's very nice. You've got a good.
They check up. It's what is a wellness check. That's what it is.
Yeah, very good, very good. So that board that you had in your hand, then, Ian, that's what you're putting on the goggles. That's what.
This is an NVR. So it's a CCTV. It's designed to be an NVR receiver. So what you got to do is attach like a $7 or $8 Wi-Fi adapter to it, solder it on, and then you program it, and then you've got your receiver. That's your goggles end, your monitor end, whatever you want to call it. And then you take in the CCTV camera, and you're basically directly attaching a Wi-Fi adapter to the CCTV camera. And
what sort of distance? I've seen a video of 20 or some odd kilometers someone was getting with a Wi-Fi adapter, but it'd be a huge grid antenna, I would have thought, or something on that.
The power levels are very low, compared to what we're running on FPV. If you think DJI's running 50 megabits a second, 40 megs carriers, 1.5 watts of output, this is nothing like that. So, and I don't, there's some videos out there, but the videos are, in some ways, they appear they give you a nice large open sky image of how it looks and feels without any real perspective of performance in normal circumstances. So, and look, I'm not reviewing the system. People keep asking me about reviewing. You can't review something that doesn't exist. What I want to understand is, where is it at today? Because the questions I was getting on this, and that's being driven by the advertising. I think my only comment for the dev team would be, rather than running around shouting, saying, hey, you can get an FPV system for $50, what they want to be doing is saying, hey, we're working on something that we think could be beneficial in the future. Come and have a look and help us make this better. Trying to sell something before it's even ready is never a good idea. And the problem is, people read a comment and say, digital FPV system for $50. When can I buy it? What have I got to do? And that everything is still command line.
That was me. Yeah, that was me basically.
Still command line. There's no UI here from adjustments and settings, and this is you need to.
You spoilt kids. It was all command line when I started with computers. It was switches on the front panel. You don't know how good you've got it.
I had to explain that to the children I teach the other day. I had to find a picture and say, no, you moved the switches. You did what? You did what?
And it's like, it's not this bad, but I think there needs to be some perspective on what it is. It has potential, huge potential, but the best open source projects aren't not necessarily about the software. The best
Jason's got it right,
projects are about how they run.
Jason's nailed it. I mean, the hobby is getting a bit stagnant, and this is a fun way to do things in the hobby. I think it's a project unto itself. I don't think it's even the FPV aspect. It's the fact of cobbling stuff together and getting something that works. That adds a whole new dimension to the hobby. A lot of people are interested in electronics as well and software. So it probably is a great area for people to follow. But as you say, presenting it as a product it's an area of interest, I would call it.
Yeah.
But explain to me what the bit I don't quite understand. I understood that it was like Wi-Fi cameras for home security. What have they done that's special, really? What makes it any different than just using that setup?
The really interesting thing is what they've done is created a whole new open source stack for the camera. That's the interesting bit, because a lot of like these cameras, they all have a closed proprietary chipset, which you don't get access to the software on. If we think of action cameras, Umbrella was one of them. They were one of the big ones. They made a lot of the chipsets for the early GoPros. There's a number of video processing chipsets out there, but it's all closed. It's not open to anyone. And probably the biggest interesting thing here is the fact of it is an open source software, and the project isn't designed for FPV. The project is designed as an open source software for IP cameras. That's what it's about, whether that be CCTV, whether that be any other application. And then there's an FPV element bolted on the side of it, which a number of people are interested in.
And that would be advantageous because then I know I can strip out anything that the camera might be doing without me knowing, with the proprietary software the camera might be doing.
You think like all of this comes out of China. So number one, all of this stuff is low cost, mass produced Chinese parts. So if you wanted to use these for something, this project, first of all, really does open the doors for you to be able to put on exactly what you want and not necessarily what they're shipping on board, and close any back doors.
So when send your firstborn child to China?
Well, I was astounded when I started fishing around to see that several of those cameras are those Starlight cameras, which I think is the thing you've just reviewed. It's also a Starlight camera.
But it's the kind of camera
you'll get me a strike. Yeah,
so talk away, Ian.
On this panel, mate, I'll tell you exactly what I think. But no, I think it is interesting, some of the stuff you're seeing coming out of China at the moment. You sort of look at it and go, I wonder what kind of market this would be aimed for.
Aim being the critical word.
Well, you'd sell those Starlight cameras all day here. I was talking to somebody about today, or somebody was talking about GPS anti-jamming stuff, and they've got some technology that might lead on to being able to detect very accurately where the jamming's coming from, and that was in a drone context. But cash in transit vans are jammed here relentlessly. There's relentless jamming of all sorts of things happening all the time.
Is it because there's lots of Rastafarians? They're jamming, man.
Oh yeah, okay. That took a while. So yeah, but you'd be able to sell that product all day long, and Starlight cameras as well. So I might just get a Starlight camera like I've seen on AliExpress. I've never.
Well, I put a video up because I reviewed the analog one, the Night Eagle. It was the original black and white Night Eagle. Yeah. Brilliant camera. I actually still fly that, especially not so much in the winter, but the summer when you go out and it's like when I'm up at 2 o'clock in the morning, I can just go and fly and this is just no light at all. It's perfectly good, but it does take a lot of getting used to flying without color information in your eyes. Your brain has to refocus. First of all, it was damn hard, but once you get used to it, it's great.
And interestingly, Bruce, DJI Analog won't have this problem, but DJI system struggles with it. The compression, because all it is seeing is mass gray.
The Luma signal.
And it's just like, well, that's just a blanket of gray. And the compression just goes, that's all one color. Let's just turn that whole bit gray. And it's like you lose all of the detail. And that was the interesting bit on the DJI system, was how the codec was like, I don't know what to do with this. This is because the system was never designed for that kind of image or information. On analog, you won't have that problem. Obviously, it'll just plow through.
But snow, you can't tell the snow from the noise.
And it's weird in the day; they're really quite hard to fly in the day because you lose even more dynamic range. You just don't have it. There's just light and a bit less lighter.
Yes, yes. If you would take off, I know you could navigate purely in the location of the sun and the moon. I mean, far be it from me to suggest that that's being thought about a lot. Oh, and then here's one from Louis.
How does it commit? Like, it's not even remotely at that stage. It's not even remotely at what, because SIYC or SIYI. They're still using, I think, like an LTE chipset themselves. I just think they're using an off-the-shelf one off the top of my head. Yeah, it's not even at that stage, Louis. You know, we are literally talking here bare bones transmitting video from point A to point B.
And so when's your video coming out on this?
It'll be a while. I've got to get this camera programmed. I'm actually having some trouble tonight. That's what I was just doing. And this is the bit, because these were never designed to be reflashed. So what you're having to do is work around the manufacturer's locks to get into the firmware to then allow you to replace that firmware with something and then move forward from there.
And there's always the risk the USB port will tear off the board.
No, there's no port on these for me to destroy, Bruce.
I'm sure you'll take that challenge, though, and deal with it.
Yeah, just a UART.
It's a very, very small fire as well.
I'll always
very
set it on
small.
fire. Yeah, look, and where could the project be in 3 years' time? You could have custom hardware, which is ready to go off the shelf, which you can buy for, say, let's be realistic, $150. That is a good thing. But here's where it gets interesting. Are those chip manufacturers going to want to supply you? Are they? Because what we're doing here is not legitimate. I don't mean it's illegal, but what you're doing is taking their closed source proprietary IP and overwriting it with your own software. So if you went to them and said, hey, we want to buy a load of these chipsets, how keen are they going to be to supply that? And so
I don't understand the closed proprietary nature of this stuff. If you, no one's going to steal it. No guy in the back garage is going to go, oh, I'll make those chips and take your market away. No. Anyone that wants to make the chips will reverse engineer it anyway. And if you open it up, surely that's going to see a wider adoption of the use of those chips. I can't understand why they keep this stuff locked away.
It is interesting because, and it's all, what shocked me actually in this is how cheap you can get some really quite good CCTV stuff. That's the bit that's actually.
I know that's what's caught my attention as well.
Yeah.
It has for other uses, not for nothing to do with FPV. Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I have 2 CCTV cameras on the front of my house which are wired that come all the way back to here, the workshop, and I have some cable issues. I've had it for years. Cables are old, they're wearing, they've been damaged. I keep taping them up. But I'll be honest, there is a stage where I'm looking at this as a potential to actually even just replace those wired links and replace them with wireless.
Even something like a Raspberry Pi, if you want a camera, why bother with the Raspberry Pi camera with the special interface? Why not just IP it? Cheaper.
Well, because people need to sell bits. Yes. And has anyone got a Raspberry Pi 5 yet?
No,
they're actually out yet. No, not out.
They were supposed to arrive here in mid-October, but now they've got no anticipated delivery date. So,
Raspberry Pi Foundation, you do it again.
They can only sell everything they make, unfortunately, at the moment. That's the biggest problem.
Must be a curse.
Yes. Absolutely. Still waiting for the 3. Absolutely. So what else have we seen this week then, now that we've debunked OpenIPC? Oh, go on then.
Biden is going to release some of the spectrum used by government agencies, and some of that's going to be released for drone use.
What sort of frequency are we talking about?
There was 6 to 8 gigahertz in one area, and I think another one around 3 gigahertz.
Yeah. Those have long been bandied about as being the ones I've given up ages ago watching the World Radio Council to see what's going to happen, because that just seems to be glacial. Oh, then glacial brings me almost nicely, but not quite, to there's that volcano going off in Iceland, isn't it? And
did you know that they've banned drone flying there?
Well, that's interesting, because there's a company that's got the camera drone that you can dial into and fly it for a fee. You can fly the drone over it, or you could.
Somebody put a comment in one of my videos saying they're in Iceland and they're now no longer allowed to fly their video around the volcanic area, fly their drones around the volcanic area, because it's a privilege reserved for special people.
Well, I guess you don't want all and sundry in there if it kicks off, flying their Mavics for shots and they need rescuing. I can see.
Well, you'd stand a wee way back. They've got a bit of range,
I think you'd need quite
beyond visual line of lava. That's all you need.
Visual line of lava. Very good. GMI is asking, any more gossip on the HD0 new release?
I've seen the firm. No, I've seen the new firmware land this week, and I believe there's new cameras coming. But that's all I know. I think I seem to be upsetting everyone right now, which means I'm doing something right.
Yeah, you're doing good, mate.
So
your certificate's coming in the mail.
The certificate's coming in the mail. What's quite amusing
no board on the background.
The one group of people are like, he's shilling for DJI, he hates the HD0, all this, and then the other side is saying he's shilling for there is a point, and Bruce probably. Well, I don't know. Bruce probably didn't go through this, because I'm not sure the social media age really existed as Bruce grew up. But what you get now is unforgiving people who want to justify their purchase decisions so much that rather than just accept you can have an opinion, they have to try and find a way of justifying why you have that opinion and using corruption as the only thing in their head which is possible. So selling your integrity.
I think it's just that stupid people are in the hobby now. It used to be clever people. Now there's a lot of stupid people.
Bruce isn't wrong. It's just and it just
not that I would hope I didn't offend anybody.
But I'm not sure. I think Bruce managed to come through at a point where all of that wasn't a thing as much.
Yeah, we were just glad to have new tech. We didn't care.
Tribalism now is,
I've been offered a thing to shill. Shall I tell you the exciting thing I've been offered to shill?
Yes.
Tire pressure monitors.
What, built in?
Yeah.
For the vertiport. So you can put them on the vehicles that land.
Put them on the vehicles that land at the vertiport. Yeah, exactly.
Fantastic.
I thought, what a weird thing. What a weird thing to be offered. And blast. So I'm afraid I sadly declined the offer of
that's a shame.
tire pressure monitors. Yeah. What a thing.
So do we think drones will be a gift this Christmas? Anyone will be giving drones or getting drones? I don't think so. I think it's going to be really flat.
Not any more than look at DJI's huge sale that I know, Black Friday, whatever.
Yeah.
But they really I don't think I've seen as many sales from DJI in the run up to Christmas before.
Well, what's interesting is if you notice this new Action 3 has had 2 launches. There was the launch about 2 weeks ago, and then this week was a load more videos went up as well. And what I've heard on the grapevine is that sales haven't been very good, and DJI have been asking their KOLs to publish more content or another launch.
I'll be publishing more content. They'll love it.
You like it? What's it like, Bruce?
No, it's crap. It's a piece of crap. To be honest,
because quite a respected video photography channel I watch reviewed it. I watched today. It's the first review I've seen on this, and they only had good things to say.
Well, yes.
It is. It's not the product that's flawed. It's the fact it's been so oversold. Yeah, this camera changes everything. This is going to replace my Sony A7S III. This is going to. All these KOLs have gone out there and just really plugged it so hard that it's obvious, affiliate link in the description, that it's beyond reality. Because I looked at the reviews and I thought, shills, KOLs, I'll tone it down a bit. Bought it with an expectation and it doesn't meet that expectation.
So, the thing is, even on the affiliate links, they're not getting that much. I think the big problem is DJI now out and out pay, as I understand it, for for content. So this isn't, you're not even talking the affiliate links here now. This is about, if you publish this video and get X amount of engagement, we'll give you X, Y, Z. So, affiliate links have their place. I've started to use them in certain places. And if no one's going to sell, I'd like to think no one's going to sell their soul for $200-300 in affiliate income. What's interesting is what they are doing it for. So what are the main issues, Bruce, for you? What are the main...
Well, it's billed as 10-bit, and 1-inch sensor. My, 10-year-old Sony camcorder has better dynamic range. This thing, even with the EV tuned down to -0.7, it's clipping like hell in most scenes. The whites just blow out. They totally clip. Look on the scopes on DaVinci, they're just clipped off. My Sony has a much better handling of highs, and it also handles lows better. It's like... I'm really disappointed with the quality of the video, and I've tried the D-Log and the HDR and the normal setup, and I just can't get it looking nearly as good as my other gear. And my Sony's got a 1/2.3 or something, and this is a 1-inch sensor. It's just been oversold. And the KOLs have oversold. It's going to replace my A7S III. No way, it's going to replace an A7S III.
The really interesting thing is when you look at it, what it lets it down. It's always the same. It's always the same with all these small cameras. It's the glass. It's the lens. Look, you can only get so much light into a sensor of that, a lens of that size. Putting a 1-inch sensor on it ain't going to help when you can't get any more light into it.
But it's got bokeh. It's got bokeh, man. It's got some bokeh. Who cares? You don't buy these to make cinema footage.
No, it's not what I've used. I wouldn't, I don't review that gear anymore. But I did see it was quite a respected channel that I rate highly, actually. And I was just like, oh, they said good things. But I remember you saying you weren't impressed. And I was like, that's interesting.
Do you watch Marcus Picks? He's that guy, blonde hair. He's out of the movie industry, and he's got a lot of cameras. He did a review, and all the points that I picked on, he picked on too, and said these are the things wrong with this. So it's obvious he uses camcorder. He's got not millions, but thousands of dollars worth of camera gear, and he picked up on exactly the same points as I picked up on. So that was quite rewarding. But so many of the other guys just seem to be shilling like mad.
Are we allowed to talk about this, Ian?
We can talk a little bit about this. We won't go too much in the drone side, but there is a funny thing going on in the world at the minute, or has been for a little while. Well, there are companies out there that do stock investment, and they look at shorting stock as well, but they delve into companies that are going over to the US to go on the NASDAQ. And then they go over to China and see what's really going on. And I just saw this, and there's incredible music. So there is mention of an eVTOL company, which we won't go into today because we discussed it last week anyway. But they've done an investigation there, and then people straight away when these investigations happen, it's always the people that hold the stock say it's a load of nonsense, it's a load of lies. But this one's just classic. Now this one's come out yesterday, I think. And this is supposed to be a really profitable, packed, busy, prime theme park in China.
Oh, put it back on again then.
Yeah, you've got to do that. And the images as well of the water feature are fantastic. It's literally just a pile of rubbish. So
take my
this
money.
is your peak roller coaster on a Saturday, and it's apparently just packed with visitors.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And
I mean, it makes Blackpool Pleasure Beach look like Disney World, doesn't it?
Yeah, eat your heart out, Disneyland.
Yeah. Click the next one, Gary, that I sent you.
The next one. All right, I didn't know there was
it's the one above it, I think, or maybe below it on the chat.
Oh, there we go. All right. Let's share this tab in. Does that come up on the most? Yeah, there you go. That's beautiful. That's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. And popping bubbles as we see them. We express strong opinions, not investment advice. We've got to be careful what we say, haven't we? So I won't say any more. We'll move on. That's another thing that we might all know about in a few months' time, or maybe soon. I'm not sure when that one particular article's coming. We've got a fix on when that one particular thing's coming out, Ian. I
have a funny feeling that we might even be later in the week. I have no idea. I think sooner rather than later, but we shall see.
Okay, and then when that one thing happens, then we can talk about it. Sorry to be cryptic, but I have to be. And there's bloody he's just hanging around with you dodgy lot. That's the trouble. There's always some sort of trouble that I can't talk about. Right. On that note, before we go, any more for any more? Go in once, go in twice. Dear viewer, wherever you are in the world, thank you very, very much for joining us. Join us again next week when perhaps we can talk about some things. And don't forget, look out for Philip Wonka. Philip Wonka informs me today there's not going to be 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, I missed.
How many
there's going to be
Wonkas?
6. There's 6 Wonkas in the world. No, 6 gold Wonkas. 6 gold.
I haven't got mine.
Have been made. So there's a minimum of 6 gold Wonkas to win. We'll start handing them out in the new year. But you've got to be in it to win it. So if you see Philip Wonka on SUS News, then
John wants to start running a sweep.
A sweep list, John.
Sweepstakes.
Sweepstakes, yeah. I was trying to, if your English viewers will remember, what's that bloke said, 3, 2, 1 or whatever it was. Here we are, 3, 2, 1. It's 3, 2, 1. Right. Goodbye, everybody. Look after yourselves. Be careful wherever you are out there. Bye-bye for now. Cheers.